Western media, stunned by Jungkook of BTS. How one Instagram story was judged more powerful than a full music campaign. What if a single tap on a phone screen could do what multi-million-dollar music campaigns struggle to achieve? What if one fleeting Instagram story, gone in 24 hours, carried more cultural weight than weeks of carefully planned promotions, billboards, and press tours? And what if that moment didn't come from a record label, a streaming platform, or a Hollywood studio, but from Jungkook of BTS, casually listening to a song released nearly 40 years ago? This is the question now echoing across Western entertainment media, pop culture think pieces, and industry analysis columns. Because when Jungkook shared a simple screenshot of Kate Bush's "Running Up That Hill, A Deal with God" on his Instagram story in early February 2026, the reaction was instant, emotional, and impossible to ignore. Within minutes, ARMY flooded social media. Within hours, international fan accounts amplified the post. And within days, Western commentators began asking an uncomfortable question for the traditional music industry. Have K-pop idols, and Jungkook in particular, become more influential than the very marketing systems designed to manufacture hits? At first glance, the post looked almost ordinary. No caption, no explanation, no teaser. Just Jungkook, listening. But in today's attention economy, ordinary can be explosive when it comes from someone whose presence alone reshapes algorithms. Jungkook was not promoting a comeback. He was not announcing a collaboration. He was not even speaking. And yet, the digital ripple effect felt louder than many official releases. Why did this happen? Why did Western media react so sharply? And why are cultural observers now pointing to this moment as evidence that the balance of power in global pop culture has shifted? To understand that, we have to slow down and look closely at what really happened after that story went live. On a Monday morning local time, Jungkook, now 28, shared a Spotify screenshot showing Kate Bush's iconic 1985 track "Running Up That Hill." The song, famously revived in 2022 after appearing in Netflix's Stranger Things Season 4, has long been associated with nostalgia, emotional release, and pop culture rebirth. Jungkook did not mention the series. He did not tag anyone. But the symbolism was immediate, and fans understood it instinctively. ARMY reaction was swift and visceral. Jungkook is back! Did he watch Stranger Things? One fan wrote on X, a comment that captured both excitement and speculation in a single breath. Another joked about being Jungkook's twin if he had indeed been binge-watching the sci-fi series. Others focused on his musical taste, praising the emotional depth and timeless quality of his choice. These were not passive reactions. They were personal, almost intimate, as if fans had been invited into Jungkook's private listening room. The post was quickly shared by fan account at jeons on X with a simple announcement. Jungkook posted, "Running Up That Hill, A Deal with God," by Kate Bush on his Instagram story. The numbers climbed fast. Thousands of likes, hundreds of reposts, and countless quote tweets followed. But what made this different was not just the speed, it was the tone. This was not hype generated by a marketing department, it was emotional recognition. Fans were not being sold a product, they were sharing a moment. Western media outlets soon picked up on the phenomenon, and their framing was telling. Instead of treating the story as a trivial celebrity update, several commentators analyzed it as a case study in modern influence. How could a single story trigger global discussion about a decades-old song? Why did it feel more impactful than a traditional promotional push? And what does it say about the current relationship between artists, fans, and media? Cultural analysts began pointing out something that K-pop fans have known for years, but Western industries are only now fully acknowledging. Idols like Jungkook do not merely promote content, they activate emotional ecosystems. When Jungkook listens to a song, fans don't just hear the music, they imagine his mood, his thoughts, his inspirations. The act becomes narrative. In this sense, Jungkook's Instagram story functioned less like advertising and more like storytelling. It invited interpretation. Was he revisiting Stranger Things? Was he drawn to the song's themes of longing and sacrifice? Was this a subtle emotional signal after his military discharge in June 2025? Or was it simply a song he loved in that moment? The lack of answers became the hook. And that, according to several Western pop culture writers, is precisely why it worked. Traditional music campaigns aim to control messaging. They rely on repetition, visuals, and strategic timing. Jungkook's story did the opposite. It offered ambiguity. It trusted the audience to fill in the gaps. And in doing so, it created deeper engagement than many polished campaigns ever achieve. Some industry observers went even further, suggesting that Jungkook had, intentionally or not, reactivated the emotional memory of Running Up That Hill for a new wave of listeners. The song had already experienced a massive resurgence in 2022 thanks to Stranger Things, propelling Kate Bush to the top of the Billboard charts nearly 4 decades after its release. But Jungkook's story reminded audiences that the song's power had not faded. It was still relevant, still resonant, still capable of sparking conversation. Was this a coincidence, or proof that Jungkook's cultural touch carries measurable weight? Western media outlets have increasingly leaned toward the latter interpretation. Several commentators argued that Jungkook's influence operates on a different plane than traditional celebrity endorsement. He does not need to tell fans what to buy or stream. His presence alone reframes attention. When he listens, people listen. When he shares, people search. When he disappears, people wait. This is where the comparison to music campaigns becomes unavoidable. A standard promotional cycle involves teasers, interviews, ads, and partnerships, all carefully designed to maximize exposure. Jungkook's story required none of that. It was free. It was unplanned, at least publicly. And yet, its impact felt organic, global, and emotionally charged. Why does this matter now? Because Jungkook is no longer just a member of BTS in his pre-military era. He is a post-service artist returning to a world that has changed, and that he has helped change. Since completing mandatory military service in June 2025 alongside his bandmates, Jungkook has been increasingly active on social media, sharing playlists, personal moments, and subtle glimpses into his inner world. Each post feels less like promotion and more like connection. Western media have taken note of this shift. Several articles have framed Jungkook as a symbol of a new kind of global artist, one whose influence is not measured solely by chart positions or sales numbers, but by cultural responsiveness. He doesn't just react to trends, he revives them. The idea that a K-pop idol could bring a song back to life with a single digital gesture challenges long-held assumptions in Western music marketing. For decades, the industry believed that revival required placement, partnerships, and strategic exposure. Jungkook's story suggested another truth. Sometimes, all it takes is genuine taste shared at the right moment by the right person. And then there is the emotional layer. Fans did not respond to the story as consumers, they responded as companions. Comments like, "I missed him so much," appeared again and again, revealing how deeply Jungkook's presence is tied to feelings of comfort and familiarity. This emotional bond amplifies every action he takes, no matter how small. Kate Bush herself has previously spoken about her surprise and gratitude at the renewed love for Running Up That Hill after Stranger Things. While there has been no public comment linking Jungkook's story to any new chart movement, the conversation alone underscores the song's enduring relevance. And once again, Jungkook found himself at the center of a cultural crossroads, bridging generations, genres, and audiences. Is this power accidental? Or is it the result of years of carefully built authenticity? Western analysts increasingly argue that it is the latter. Jungkook's influence did not emerge overnight. It is the product of consistent emotional transparency, artistic credibility, and a fan relationship that feels reciprocal rather than transactional. When he shares music, it doesn't feel like a recommendation. It feels like an invitation. This is why the story resonated beyond fandom circles. It became a talking point about the future of promotion itself. If one artist can generate this level of attention without trying, what does that mean for labels spending millions on campaigns that struggle to create similar engagement? Some critics caution against over-romanticizing the moment, arguing that Jungkook's reach is exceptional and not easily replicated. And yet, even they acknowledge that the incident reveals something fundamental about modern pop culture. Influence is no longer about volume, it is about trust. Jungkook does not need to speak loudly. His silence carries meaning, his choices carry weight, and his digital footprint, even when minimal, reshapes conversation. As speculation continues about whether Jungkook was indeed watching Stranger Things, or whether the story hints at a new project, collaboration, or creative phase, one thing is clear. The impact has already been made. Without confirmation from Jungkook or HYBE, the moment remains open-ended, and that openness is precisely what keeps people talking. So, was this just a casual story? Or was it a quiet demonstration of power that Western media can no longer ignore? As BTS's long-awaited return to the music scene draws closer, moments like this feel less like accidents and more like signals. Signals that the rules have changed. Signals that influence now flows through authenticity rather than amplification. And signals that in the era of Jungkook, sometimes one story really is stronger than a whole campaign. The question now is not whether Jungkook has this power. The question is how the global music industry will adapt to it. And perhaps more intriguingly, what he will choose to share next, knowing that the world is always listening. And this is where the conversation inside Western media quietly shifts from fascination to unease. Because once the excitement fades and the tweets slow down, industry insiders begin asking harder questions. If a single Instagram story from Jungkook can reignite global discussion around a 1,985 song, then what happens to the old hierarchy of influence? What happens to radio premieres, exclusive interviews, paid placements, and carefully staged viral moments when an artist's personal listening habit generates more engagement than an entire rollout? Several Western pop culture analysts have described Jungkook's digital presence as post-promotional power. It is influence that exists beyond campaigns, beyond schedules, beyond strategy decks. It works precisely because it does not announce itself as marketing. When Jungkook shares music, fans do not feel targeted, they feel included, and that distinction matters more than ever. In the age of algorithm fatigue, audiences have grown skeptical of overt promotion. They scroll past ads, mute sponsored posts, and instinctively distrust anything that feels manufactured. Jungkook's story cut through that noise because it felt human. A young man, freshly returned from military service, listening to a song filled with yearning, memory, and emotional tension. No slogan could compete with that image. Western commentators have begun comparing this moment to other cultural flashpoints where artist authenticity overpowered institutional messaging. Some drew parallels to how Beyoncé's surprise album releases once disrupted traditional marketing cycles. Others mentioned how Taylor Swift's personal storytelling reshaped fan engagement. But even within those comparisons, Jungkook stands apart. Why? Because he did not release anything. He did not ask for attention. Attention followed him anyway. That distinction has led some media outlets to describe Jungkook as an attention anchor, a figure whose actions naturally draw collective focus without deliberate provocation. In this framework, his Instagram story was not content, it was a signal. And signals, by nature, invite interpretation. Was Jungkook signaling nostalgia? Emotional introspection? Creative recalibration after military life? Or was he simply enjoying music like anyone else? The fact that no one knows for sure has only intensified the fascination. ARMY, long accustomed to reading between the lines of BTS's artistic choices, quickly turned the story into a canvas for collective meaning-making. Fan theories flourished, not because Jungkook encouraged them, but because his silence made space for them. Some fans connected the song's themes of longing and sacrifice to the emotional weight of military separation. Others focused on the idea of time travel and second chances, motifs strongly associated with Stranger Things and with BTS's own lyrical universe. Western media noticed this pattern and highlighted it as something uniquely powerful about Jungkook's relationship with fans. He does not dictate interpretation, he allows it. And in doing so, he transforms passive audiences into active participants. This is where traditional campaigns often fail. They tell audiences what to feel. Jungkook's story asked nothing, yet invited everything. One US-based cultural columnist described the moment as a masterclass in unintentional influence, noting that even artists with massive followings rarely generate this level of emotional speculation with such minimal effort. Another commentator framed it more bluntly, writing that Jungkook doesn't need a campaign because his existence functions as one. These statements may sound exaggerated, but they reflect a growing recognition in Western media that K-pop idols, particularly those from BTS, operate within a different cultural logic. Their power is not just numerical, it is relational. Jungkook's followers do not merely consume his output, they track his mood, his growth, his silence. Every gesture becomes part of a longer narrative arc that fans have been emotionally invested in for over a decade. When he listens to Kate Bush, fans don't hear an old song. They hear Jungkook at a particular moment in his life. That emotional specificity is something no marketing budget can buy. It is also why the comparison to traditional music campaigns feels increasingly outdated. Campaigns are built around products. Jungkook's influence is built around presence. And presence, when combined with trust, becomes unstoppable. The timing of the story further amplified its impact. Early 2026 is a moment of heightened anticipation for BTS. With military service completed and the group expected to re-enter the global music scene, every move by the members is scrutinized for clues. In this context, Jungkook's story felt less like a random post and more like a